Hello, happy Monday. I am hopping on to paint with you guys tonight. We had scheduled a paint party tonight and it didn't work out, so I thought I had this time slotted to paint the sunflower door hanger. And so I thought I would just use that time and paint with you live. So I'm going to get myself ready here. As you hop on, say hi. Let me know that you're watching. Make sure I can see comments. Okay, I got me up. Hopefully I can see comments. So we had tried to schedule a paint party for this, a local paint party for this sign. It is a 16-inch round sign, and it just didn't work out. And so we're going live to paint with you anyways. And we are going to offer this as a DIY kit. It's not quite on the website yet, but it will be tomorrow. So we'll have the wood cutouts for it. Make sure my volume's turned off here so I don't have any echoing happening. So anyways, what you'll get is the kit will contain this wood cutout. So you'll get the round here. This is 16 inches. It's got the scored leaves on there so we can paint those in easily. And then the layered sunflower will go here, and then you'll have your choice of, let me grab my metal bits here. You can do a welcome, or I have a harvest, or you can choose a the thankful. So those are the three pieces that you'll get in the kit, and then you can paint it however you want, but I'll show you how I would paint it. Okay, I'm going to start with the base, and I'm going to use a nutmeg, and we really just need to paint the outside of it because the sunflower is going to cover up most of it. So let me turn on my other light. I've got a funky shadow happening. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. Okay. So wood is super porous, so I'm going to wet my brush down and actually grab a bunch of water to help get this paint spread. It's super porous, so if your paint isn't watered down, you'll find that it tries to stick. You're not going to be able to push that paint around very easily. So having it a little bit wet really helps, and especially that first coat. I always recommend just painting the first coat super light, watered down. It kind of acts like a sealer, so your next coat can be super vibrant and fills in really well. So this brown that I'm using is a lighter, it's almost like an orangey brown. And then we're going to fill the leaves in with a darker brown. But you could definitely do any color with that. Also, wood can tend to get, when it's wet, the little fibers can start to stick up. So if you're ever painting wood and you notice after you've painted it, so it starts out super smooth, maybe your piece you get is really smooth, and then you paint it and all of a sudden it's super rough, and it maybe even looks like there's just this gunk on it and it's not very pretty at all. It just means that your fibers in your on the wood have expanded, which happens sometimes. Kind of just depends on the wood and whatnot. So we just did our turkey painting, or our turkey craft for Joy Box today. So that's one thing we did. And we're getting ready to launch the little Joy Box for the next month. We have this super cute little turkey. So the little Joy Box is going to try and use the same designs as the main Joy Box in some regards. That way, if there's a mom or daughter out there crafting together, their crafts are going to be very similar in design and kind of match the decor. So we're getting ready to launch that this week. So you'll be seeing my niece make an appearance Wednesday. I think we're going to go live Wednesday and show off the new box. So, okay, so this is going to have to dry for a few minutes. I'm going to set it aside and we will bring this guy back. And for the center, I'm going to use a burnt umber and a little bit of black. And there it is. So again, I'm going to go in with a wet brush. For this one, I'm going to create this kind of a circle of brown and black. So what I'm going to do is take my big flat and I'm going to load up the, I guess, right side with brown and the left side with black. And then we're going to just go in a circle the best we can. And I get this really cool blended look going around. We'll get a little bit more water. We'll do that again. Brown on one side, black on the other. We'll finish our circle here. And this does have that circle scored or etched in from the laser, so it kind of helps us find our center and stay within that. But if you go outside those lines, nothing some more paint will fix. Okay, and then I'm just going to go right into just the brown and fill in the center here. So when you're painting the center of the circle, it's important to try and keep your brush strokes in a circular motion so that you get those round, or that rounded effect. If I were to brush up and down, it wouldn't look like a round center. Okay, so that's our center. We're going to let that dry and then we'll come and add a little bit more to that. So then I'm going to get a King's Gold by Apple Barrel and put my first coat down on my petals. So as you're hopping on, say hi. Let me know if you're watching so I can see comments. Oh, there we go. They just popped up. So hi Donna, hi Cara, how are you doing tonight? Hi Melanie. Hi Mom. Mom, I heard you got snow. Is that true? So we're just putting this first coat down here. this yellow seems to coat fairly well. Some yellows, the bright yellow, doesn't have as much pigment, so it doesn't cover as well. Tends to need to have more coats than this. So as soon as I get this sunflower, I have to show you something that I picked up at the Dollar Tree when we were in Havre this last Saturday. I live in a town that does not have a Dollar Tree. So it's always kind of a treat when I go out of town to pop in and see if there are any goodies to be found. Because if you know the Dollar Tree, there's only a few things that it constantly carries, and other than that, it ebbs and flows with different things. And so sometimes you can find some really cute things there. My comments keep going in and out. There we go. There we are. I'm going to just bring a little bit of yellow in here too. Just bring some color into the center here. There we go. Brighten it up just a little bit. Okay, how's this looking? Still wet, still wet. So, while that's drying, let me show you the goodies I found this weekend. Okay, so they had these cute little hats. I've already opened the pack. Anyways, they come with 3 hats. And they're picks, so they're supposed to be glued on, but the picks have already fallen off. And I guess you put them in floral arrangements or whatnot, right? But I am gonna make little gnomes with these hats. So I'm taking the picks off. But I always love going into the Dollar Tree to find things and kind of repurpose them. These would be cute in floral arrangements, but I think they're gonna make cute little Halloween gnomes. So that comes with a pack of 3. So I'll be doing that craft later this week. Keep a lookout for that. I got the green one and then the black one, which needs a little bit of some repair, but those will be cute. So I picked those up, and then I also picked up these wood shapes. So the Havre Dollar Tree had Christmas stuff out already. I'm sure most of them do, but these little wood shapes are the cutest things, and I love miniature stuff. So I'm excited to incorporate these into something. So they have these little trees, and they're solid wood, so we could paint them. You could have just a little miniature forest. So they came, and there's 8 pieces in a pack, so that's pretty good. And then they had these snowmen. And just how stinking cute is that with a little hat on it? And they're all about the same size. So you could have a forest snowman, and then they had these little angels that you could paint. And the wings, you might want to repurpose something else. The wings are just paper. So if you were to paint this little angel, I imagine those wings would kind of give out eventually with paint on them. Or you leave them white and try and paint around them. You could probably take these off. Probably just glued on, yeah. Take these off, paint your little angels, and if you wanted to use these, glue these back on. or maybe find some pretty lace or something to make new wings and use this as a template. So anyways, I'm excited to play around with these little miniature things that I found. So if you have a Dollar Tree, go check it out. If you find cool things, definitely let me know. Sorry, that's probably right in front of my mic there that I threw those bags. So, okay. Oh, that was really wet. So let's get back to our sign. We are gonna get back to this piece, and we're pretty dry. The next thing I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can tell, but this sign has got a little bit of sheen on this back piece. And so what I did here was added a little bit of some metallic. And I used this antique gold. So I'm going to throw a little bit of that on here. And that's just going to give it a little bit of some pop on the back there. I'm going to do that before I paint my leaves, so that those really dark leaves stand out well. So I got my brush wet so that I could really push this paint around. And again, we don't have to paint the center because our sunflower is going to cover it up. And because of those score marks, we still are able to see those leaves, which is the awesome thing about those lasers. You don't have to worry about trying to paint around those leaves. You just paint right over them. You can still see them to paint the darker color in. I'm just spreading this gold around, trying to get all the little bits here on the edge. And then smooth it out. So it looks super bright right now, but it will darken up with that once it dries. So we're going to put that aside again, let that dry. We're going to bring our sunflower back, and we are going to add some detail to this. So I'm going to pull out some bright yellow. I've already got the King's Gold out. I'm going to bring out some bright yellow and some orange. We're going to add some dimension to our petals and center. So I'm going to start with the center, and I like to kind of create this dimension in the center to mimic, it's not necessarily the seeds yet, but what would be seeds, I guess? Maybe they are just called seeds. I feel like they're called something else while they're part of a flower, but I don't know. So if you know, let me know. Hi Sarah Lynn, how are you? Thanks. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a large round. I mixed the brown and black right on my brush, and I'm just gonna tap around this black circle here. No brush strokes, no dragging, just up and down, creating this dimension of, I guess what would be seeds. I feel like there's just that word that's right on the tip of my tongue. Like it's not pollen. That'll bug me. I'll have to look it up. I'll post if anybody knows. Throw it in the comments. Flower parts. Okay. So that just adds a little bit of dimension to that center so it's not so flat. Okay, so I went around that black part, and then I'm just going to kind of go in the center here as well. And just tap, tap, tap. Okay, and then for this lighter area, I'm going to introduce a little bit of some yellow and some orange. So I've got that brown still on my brush. I'm just going to dip a little bit of it in that yellow and tap that together. And that's going to mix, but it's going to introduce a little bit of that yellow to the center and kind of tie it together with the petals. And some areas might be a little bit more bright, and some areas might be a little bit more darker, but that's okay. So I've got the yellow there in the center, or that second circle. I'm going to add a little bit of orange to my brush and tap a little bit of that orange in there as well. If you get a little bit too much, you can always just add a little bit more brown to your brush, or just keep tapping over it, and eventually it kind of blends in with the brown that's already in your brush and creates kind of a lighter brown. Let's see, I lost a little bit of that yellow. Let's bring some of that back. Go. And let's just grab some of the brown and just add a little bit of some tapping out here along the very edge. I'm not going to get too crazy about the outer edge quite yet, just in case after I start adding some dimension to my petals, I might want to come back and clean that up. And so I usually leave the very edge to the last, but you can start to see that that center is starting to look great. Okay, so let's move back to the petals and add some color to those. Get some white out. Okay. Oh, I got a moth in here. So I'm going to go right back into my King's Gold here, and then I'm going to pick up some of this bright yellow and create some bold brush strokes that mix both those colors. So I'm going to start from this center and just bring them out. And so now I've got this mix of those two yellows. And I'm not going to over blend. I don't want to over blend and lose those bold brush strokes. So I want to have both those colors intermixing with each other with a small amount of blending that happens when we brush. So we'll just go through and let me get some more of the King's Gold out. So we're going to load up with the King's Gold, and then we're going to grab some of that bright yellow and blend those two colors in. And we can start to see those petals really brighten up. Now the other thing that we can do as well is introduce a little bit of white on your brush. It's a little too much. So we've got just a little bit of white there, and we can highlight the edges a little bit. We can highlight maybe just one side, and then we can also bring some lines down at the base where we would see maybe those folds of the petals. And we can introduce a little bit of orange in there as well if you want to add some orange, just kind of an orange streak, or add some orange to the base. So you can kind of play around with all of those different colors as you work your way around. So the first step is to get those 2 yellows on your petals. And then we can add some white. You can add a little bit of orange. And this could also be painted other colors. You could do a white sunflower. You could make it blue. You could do orange. We had the Hello Fall paint party yesterday afternoon. And we had so many great different varieties of sunflowers. Some had added red to it. Some had added different oranges. It was just a really cool thing to see how everyone's sunflowers came out at that party. So a lot of different ways to paint this one even. A white one would be extremely pretty. And then you could mix the background up a little bit. You could add some greens and yellow leaves and kind of pull some color into that background. It would look just as pretty with the gold and dark brown too. It's funny, after I start a project, I always think of all these great ideas like, oh, you could do that, or oh, you could do that. And I sometimes kick myself going, oh, I really want a yellow or a white sunflower. Oh, that was a lot of white on my brush. So if this ever happens where you accidentally get too much of one color, so what I'm doing is I'm brushing over it and kind of picking it up. So I pick up what I can, and then I wipe my brush away. And then I'll wipe it off. So I've picked up a lot of that white. I'm going to go back into my yellows and just cover that up. And I might have to come in with a second coat even and darken that back up, but it's always fixable. That's the great thing about paint, is if you make a mistake, just let it dry and then come back in and start over. Okay, there we go. All right, so we've got that. We're gonna grab a liner brush next and add a little bit of some detail lines to the petals. So I'm going to start by just bringing a line out with my black. And I never really outline the entire thing. I don't want it to be like a coloring page and it's completely outlined. There are cases where that looks good as well, but I like the just more whimsical feel of a quick swish or brush stroke here or there. Hi Terry, hi Chandra, it's looking pretty, thank you Cara. And then I will come in and do a complete petal there. And then for this one, we're just gonna do a quick, where this one's maybe tucked behind. And then maybe it's full on this side. So they're gonna kind of be, I'm gonna try and vary them a little bit on which petals are forward and which petals are kind of tucked. And keep it as random as possible. It's not always the case. Kind of hard for our brains to be random, I think. Mine tend to, if I don't stop and force myself to do something, it will just eventually kind of take over and create that muscle memory, and all of a sudden, you know, I've got the same brush strokes over and over again. So there we go. So that really just helps define those petals. So now we can come back and clean up, and I'm pretty, actually it's all right. I didn't get too messy. Typically I can get pretty messy with my petal strokes, but we're pretty good. So then the next thing I want to do is add some dots around the edge. So I'm going to grab my larger round, and the larger the brush, the larger the handle, which means the larger the end. And what I want to do is create these fun dots around the edge. And I'm going to do that with all the colors on my palette. I'll start with the white and just randomly use the back of my brush as a stamp or dauber and create these fun little dots around my edge here of the center. So I'm going to do some in white. I'll also do some in the bright yellow and the orange. So I can get about 3 little dots out of this before I kind of run out. Okay, I'll do the yellow. Need a little bit more of that. It's kind of helpful to have just a little pile for that end of your brush to get into. It's kind of like little jewels around the edging. And I'll do some black. There we go. Okay, I think we need one more color in there. I'm going to pull in a little bit of this flamenco red. It's kind of this really pretty berry red, cranberry red. And I think that's just going to help this little jeweled area to really pop. Doesn't that look so pretty? I love these sunflowers. Okay, So that part of the sign is done. Let's bring out our base. We're gonna let that dry. And so this one that I did, the original, was the welcome. If you had a choice, let me know in the comments. Would you use welcome, thankful, or harvest? What would you choose? Let me know in the comments. Let's see if I can see comments again. Sometimes they get pushed aside. Okay, so let me know. Welcome, harvest, or thankful. So you can start to see that that's dried and the light's hitting it kind of funky, but it's got this kind of a rusty, bronzy background there. So we're gonna fill in the leaves with the burnt umber next. Take a little bit more of that out. And I'm just gonna use my large round for this. And when you're painting, remember to always pick up enough paint in your brush to really push that paint around. Don't be afraid to really load those bristles up. They can hold a lot and allows you to go a little bit further if you really load them up. We got one there, and that burnt umber just pops off of this gold color. Cara says, welcome, you like the welcome. So with these leaves, I'm also not being very careful with them because I know that all leaves are a little bit different. So if I go outside of the lines or whatnot, the sunflower is really the center stage, so nobody's going to be looking too close at the leaves. So don't feel like there's a little bit of some detail in there, but don't feel like you have to paint the entire thing in. I typically just put my brush at a point and pull the color back in. So let me show you that. See if you can see the engraving. No, you can't, but it's pretty messy in regards to coloring in the lines, let's just say that. But those engraving lines help kind of keep us somewhat in place. This reminds me of a big platter, a Thanksgiving dinner platter or something, like a, what are they called? A charger. Okay. We're almost there. What do you guys think? Oh, I just saw your other messages, Cara. I would choose thankful, welcome. I think welcome. I only saw the last message and then the other two just popped up. Facebook is still, I think, a little glitchy. It's never really been all that great for comments anyways. Comments always show up a little late, sometimes not at all. Okay guys, so before I get to the next step, and I forget, I forget to tell you not to forget about upcoming classes. We have, the next class is our Pumpkin Fresh Truck painting, and that is let me pull up my dates so I don't get it wrong. Let's see, where are my dates? Where's my calendar? So we have the Farm Fresh Pumpkins on the 17th, and then we have the Fall Gnome on the 26th, and then we are possibly doing a kids Halloween paint party on the 31st, kind of during the day before trick-or-treating. Since it happens on a Sunday, we thought that would be fun. That's still in the works though. So, okay, this part's done. And we'll bring this back. I'm gonna actually bring out my blow dryer so that I can glue this real quick, and then we are finished. So give me just a second. Sorry for the noise. Okay, it's not quite dry, but we're close enough. So we've got this guy, we'll make sure it's somewhat centered. I think we're good right there. So then we would glue that on. I'm not going to glue it quite yet because it's still not completely dry and it's going to take a while, so we will just move on. So we can do thankful, which would be really pretty. We also have the harvest and the welcome. So I've already got a welcome one, so I'll probably do this next one with the thankful, and then have two different ones. Maybe gift one away or something. But there we go. That is our sunflower painting. Let me just check. Make sure everything's good still. Any questions? So, like I said, I wanted to paint along with you tonight. We had scheduled a paint party tonight and it just didn't work out. So we are going to offer this as a DIY kit. It's not on the website yet, but it will be tomorrow. Once it's up, I will link that in the video as well. So if you're catching this on the replay, it might be available tomorrow if you're catching it on the replay tomorrow. So also be on the lookout for pumpkin tutorials coming up, making pumpkins, and then we're gonna make some super cute gnomes with these hats. So I don't have all the details worked out, but we'll give it a try. Some little mini gnomes. So all right, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. And as always, being a small business, I so appreciate your support in giving me thumbs up, hitting the heart button, or spreading the joy, sprinkling the love, hitting that SHARE button. Not only does that help push out the content and get my word out, but it also creates a little bookmark. So if you are thinking about ordering this kit and doing it and want to be able to watch this, hitting that SHARE button puts it on your page, and it creates kind of a bookmark for that too. So just an idea there. And thank you, Cara. Thanks for watching. And you guys have a good evening. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.